October 5th, 2017. The New York Times publishes an investigation. Journalists Yodi Kantor and Megan Tuhey, but months of research, interviews with dozens of women. The headline: Harvey Weinstein paid off sexual harassment accusers for decades. The article detailed decades of abuse, settlements, non-disclosure agreements, a pattern of predatory behavior. Harvey Weinstein, one of Hollywood's most powerful producers, co-founder of Miramax, Oscar winner, behind films like Pulp Fiction, Shakespeare in Love, The English Patient, a man who could make or break careers, who used that power to assault women, who silenced victims with money and threats. The article went viral. The world read in horror. And within days, more women came forward. Ashley Judd, Rose McGowan, Todd Sai, Gwyneth Paltrow, Dorta, Angelina Jolie, talked. Over 80 women total, all with similar stories. Hotel rooms, business meetings that became assaults. A monster hiding in plain sight. This is not just Harvey Weinstein's story. This is the story of how power protects predators, how entire industries enable abuse, how victims are silenced and blamed, but also how courage can break silence, how journalism can expose truth, how movements can change culture. The #MeToo movement began with 2 words, posted by activist Tarana Burke. In 2006, amplified by actress Alyssa Milano. In 2017, within 24 hours, millions of women shared their stories. Millions said Me Too, revealed that sexual assault wasn't isolated incidents. It was epidemic, systemic, decimai, battle, Lishawas, Moni, everywhere. And Harvey Weinstein became the symbol, the face of abuse, the man whose downfall proved that even the most powerful could be held accountable. This is that story. The rise of a monster, the decades of silence, the investigations that exposed him, the trials that convicted him, and the global movement that ensures we will never forget. Harvey Weinstein was born March 19, 1952, in Queens, New York. Died. Working class Jewish family. Father was a diamond cutter. Harvey grew up ambitious, aggressive, hungry for success. He and his brother Bob started in concert promotion. Small venues in Buffalo. They made money, took risks, then moved into film. In 1979, they founded Miramax. Named after their parents, Miriam and Max Ditsati. Started as a small distributor. Independent films. Art house cinema. Foreign films that major studios ignored. But Harvey had an eye for quality, for what could win awards. And he was ruthless, relentless. He bullied distributors, pressured exhibitors, fought for his films, and he won. But the 1990s were Harvey's golden age. Miramax became a powerhouse. Sex, lies, and videotape. The Crying Game. Pulp Fiction. Oh. A film that redefined independent cinema. Made Quentin Tarantino a legend. Then came the prestige films. The English Patient won Best Picture in 1997. Toto. Shakespeare in Love in 1999. Harvey mastered Oscar campaigns, spent millions on promotion, lobbied voters aggressively. Some said he bought Oscars, but he delivered results. Stars wanted to work with him. Directors sought his backing. Screenwriters needed his approval. He was a kingmaker. The most powerful man in Hollywood. Dut. Someone you couldn't afford to offend. Someone whose favor could launch a career, and whose anger could destroy it. But behind the success was darkness. Even in the early years, whispers circulated. Women warned each other. Don't be alone with Harvey. Never meet him in a hotel room. Always bring someone with you. These weren't secrets. This was common knowledge among assistants, publicists, agents. Everyone knew, or suspected, or had heard stories. But no one spoke publicly. Because Harvey had power. He could blacklist you, destroy your reputation, sue you into bankruptcy. He had lawyers, attacked dogs who protected him, threatened anyone who challenged him, and he had enablers, assistants who scheduled the meetings, hotels that gave him privacy, executives who looked the other way, an entire system built to protect him and silence victims. The pattern was consistent. Young actresses, starting their careers, invited to business meetings, at hotels. Harvey's preferred location was his hotel room, or a restaurant where he'd suggest moving somewhere private. Women thought they were discussing film roles, thought this was how business worked in Hollywood. Then Harvey would make demands, pressure them to massage him, to watch him shower, to engage in sexual acts. Well, many women refused and left, but many were assaulted, raped, trapped in hotel rooms with a man twice their size, threatening their careers if they told anyone. And afterward, Harvey's team would deploy. Settlements offered. Indus, Luntar, money in exchange for silence. Legal documents that prevented victims from ever speaking about what happened. And the pattern continued. Year after year, decade after decade. Over 80 women, maybe more we'll never know about. Ashley Judd was one of the first to go on record. In 1997, she was a rising star. Invited to meet Harvey at a hotel, she thought it was a business breakfast. Instead, Harvey answered the door in a bathrobe, asked her to watch him shower, to give him a massage. She refused, made excuses, left as quickly as possible, and she paid for it. Harvey badmouthed her to directors, damaged her career, kept her from roles, but she never forgot. 20 years later, she told her story to the New York Times, finally breaking the silence that had protected Harvey for decades. Her courage opened the floodgates. Rose McGowan's story was more brutal. In 1997, during the Sundance Film Festival, Harvey raped her in a hotel room. She was 23 years old, just starting her career. The assault traumatized her. Miramax later paid her $100,000, a settlement with an NDA attached, legally silenced. For years she hinted at what happened, tweeted cryptically about Hollywood predators, but couldn't name Harvey. The NDA bound her to silence until 2017. When the dam broke, when she finally told the full story, described the rape, the trauma, the years of silence, and she became a voice for survivors, a leader in the Me Too movement, someone who refused to be silenced anymore. Gwyneth Paltrow and Angelina Jolie, two of the biggest stars in Hollywood, also came forward. Both had been harassed by Harvey early in their careers. In the 1990s, when they were young and vulnerable, Harvey made advances. They rejected him, but they said nothing publicly for decades. Because Harvey was powerful. Because speaking out could end careers. Because the system protected him, not them. When they finally went public in 2017, their star power mattered. If Harvey could harass Gwyneth Paltrow and Angelina Jolie, women at the top of Hollywood, then no woman was safe. The abuse wasn't about attraction or opportunity. It was about power and control. Dozens more women shared stories. Actresses, assistants, production staff, journalists. The pattern was consistent across decades. Hotel rooms, fake business meetings, sexual assault, threats, home settlements. And thus, many victims tried to speak up earlier, tried to warn others, but were silenced. In 2004, production assistant Zelda Perkins filed complaints with Miramax HR. Darty Jenny. They forced her to sign an NDA, paid her off, protected Harvey. In 2015, model Ambra Batilana wore a wire for NYPD, recorded Harvey admitting to groping her. Prosecutors had evidence, but declined to press charges. The Manhattan Cyrus Vance Jr. dropped the case. Later, Harvey's lawyer donated to Vance's campaign. The system protected powerful men, abandoned vulnerable women. It took investigative journalism to finally break through. Yodi Cantor and Megan Tuhey at the New York Times, Ronan Farrow at the New Yorker, Haijan Davis Titewe. These journalists spent months investigating, tracking down victims, verifying stories, fighting Harvey's lawyers, who sent cease and desist letters, threatened lawsuits, tried every tactic to kill the stories. But the journalists persisted, built an airtight case, multiple sources, documents, settlements records, a pattern undeniable. When the articles published, they were explosive, detailed, devastating, and they changed everything. Suddenly, silence wasn't sustainable. Women felt empowered to speak. The flood of Me Too stories began, and Harvey's empire crumbled. The reaction was swift. Within days of the Times article, Harvey was fired from the Weinstein Company, the company he co-founded. His own board turned against him. Hollywood abandoned him. The Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences expelled him. BAFTA expelled him. Producers Guild expelled him. Every organization cut ties. Actors denounced him publicly. Meryl Streep, who had worked with him for years, expressed horror. She didn't know the extent of his behavior. Many asked, how could they not know? How could an entire industry claim ignorance? The answer: willful blindness. People knew enough to suspect, but not enough to act, or chose not to act. Because confronting Harvey meant risking careers, criminal investigations began. New York and Los Angeles opened cases. Prosecutors reviewed decades of allegations. But charging Harvey was complicated. Statutes of limitations had expired on most assaults. NDAs made victims reluctant to testify. Many women lived in fear of retaliation, of public scrutiny, of reliving trauma. But some were willing, brave women who wanted justice, who wanted to ensure Harvey never hurt anyone again. The New York case moved forward. 5 women as witnesses. 2 specific charges: rape and criminal sexual assault. The trial began in January 2020. It became a spectacle. Media from around the world. Protesters outside the courthouse. Harvey arriving with a walker, looking frail. A tactic, many said, to gain sympathy. The trial testimony was harrowing. Women described assaults in detail. Hotel rooms, his aggression, the force he used, the fear they felt. Harvey's defense tried to discredit them. Showed emails where victims remained friendly with Harvey after assaults, suggested they consented, or that they used him for career advancement. It's a common defense tactic. Victim blaming, ignoring trauma responses, ignoring power dynamics. The prosecution countered. Expert witnesses explained trauma, why victims often maintain contact with abusers, especially when the abuser controls their livelihood. The jury heard it all. Weeks of testimony, evidence of a pattern, doubt of serial predatory behavior spanning decades. 5 decades start. On February 24, 2020, the verdict came. Guilty. The jury convicted Harvey of 2 counts, criminal sexual assault and rape in the 3rd degree. Not guilty on the most serious charges, predatory sexual assault, which required proving a pattern. But still guilty. A moment of justice. Harvey showed no emotion. But survivors cried, hugged each other, felt validation. Deep. Their stories believed, their suffering acknowledged. Sentencing came weeks later. 23 years in prison. Harvey was 67 years old. He'd likely die in prison. His lawyers promised appeals, claimed procedural errors, but the conviction stood and sent a message. Even the most powerful men could be held accountable. But New York wasn't the end. California had charges pending. Separate victims, separate assaults. In Los Angeles. The trial began in 2022. More women testified. More stories of assault, of trauma, of lives damaged by Harvey's violence. This time, the evidence was even stronger. The jury convicted him on 3 counts of rape and sexual assault. Sentencing added 16 more years on top of his New York sentence. Effectively, Harvey Weinstein will be in prison. Appeals continue. But his guilt is established, his legacy destroyed. The man who once ruled Hollywood is now just another convicted rapist. serving decades behind bars, where he belongs. Me Too didn't start with Harvey Weinstein. The phrase was coined by Tarana Burke in 2006, a black activist and survivor working with young women of color. She created Me Too to help survivors, to build community, to show they weren't alone. For over a decade, she worked at the grassroots level, building a movement. But mainstream media ignored it until October 2017, when actress Alyssa Milano tweeted, "If you've been sexually harassed or assaulted, write Me Too." As a reply to this tweet, within 24 hours, hundreds of thousands responded. Within weeks, millions. The hashtag went global. Me Too trended in 85 countries. Women everywhere shared their stories. Not just in Hollywood. Everywhere. The floodgates opened. Every industry had its reckoning. Media donalty. Monsu. Politics. Tech. Sports. Academia. Talk to me. Door. Chais. Betsawolige? Nareit. 7-0. Massig. Academia took music. I. Powerful men fell. Matt Lauer, Charlie Rose, Louis C.K., Kevin Spacey, Bill Cosby, R. Kelly, Jeffrey Epstein, each revealed as predators, each protected by systems that valued power over justice. Women who'd been silenced for years finally spoke, found strength in numbers, found platforms where they were believed. The movement wasn't perfect. Some accusations were murky. Some men were unfairly lumped together. Due process concerns emerged. But overall, Me Too forced a necessary reckoning with how society treats sexual assault, how we believe women, how we hold men accountable. Hollywood changed, at least superficially. New policies. Training. Intimacy coordinators on sets. Protections for young actors. Many of these changes are genuine progress. But skeptics question how deep the change goes. Whether powerful men really face consequences now, or if they just got better at hiding. Several men who faced allegations have attempted comebacks, some successfully. Louis C.K. returned to comedy. Kevin Spacey acted again in small films. Some argue rehabilitation is possible. Others say predators shouldn't get second chances. The debate continues. But one thing is clear. The old system of silence and enablement is broken. Women are believed more often. Assaults are reported more frequently. NDAs are scrutinized. The culture has shifted. Tarana Burke, the original creator of Me Too, became a national figure, gave keynote speeches, wrote a memoir, received awards. But she also reminded people, Me Too isn't just about famous actresses. It's about all survivors, particularly women of color, working class women, who face abuse with even fewer resources, less media attention, less likelihood of justice. Burke pushed to keep the movement inclusive, to center the most vulnerable, to ensure Me Too led to systemic change, not just individual accountability. Challenges to laws, to workplace policies, to how police handle assault reports, to how society supports survivors. That work continues. The backlash was inevitable. Some men claimed Me Too went too far. That accusations ruined lives without evidence. That men couldn't flirt or date anymore. That it was a witch hunt. These arguments missed the point. Me Too wasn't about policing normal interaction. It was about exposing predatory behavior, about assault, about abuse of power, about patterns of behavior that hurt vulnerable people. The vast majority of men never faced accusations because they don't assault people. The backlash revealed discomfort. Men who worried their own behavior might be questioned, or who didn't want to confront how prevalent abuse really is. But the movement persisted because survivors wouldn't be silenced again. Legally, some states reformed laws, extended statutes of limitations for sexual assault, made NDAs unenforceable in abuse cases, created better protections for workplace complaints. These changes matter. They make justice more accessible, make silence harder to enforce. But challenges remain. Many survivors still don't report. Fear they won't be believed. Fear retaliation. Fear the trauma of trials. And many perpetrators still avoid consequences, especially if they're not famous, if they don't face media scrutiny. The system improved, but it's not fixed. Me Too was a moment. The work of building a just society continues. Harvey Weinstein's story is a case study in how power corrupts, how industries protect abusers, how silence becomes complicity. For decades, Hollywood knew White. Assistants whispered warnings. Agents steered clients away from him. But no one with power stopped him. Studios kept producing his films. Award shows kept honoring him because he made money, because he won Oscars, because challenging him seemed impossible or not worth the risk. This is the banality of evil, not dramatic villainy. Just people choosing convenience over justice, choosing profit over protection, choosing silence over courage. And 80 women paid the price. The enablers include many names. His brother, Bob, who worked alongside him for decades, who claims he didn't know. Many don't believe him. Harvey's assistants, some of whom scheduled meetings they knew were dangerous, who escorted women to hotel rooms. Some assistants later expressed guilt, said they were victims too, trapped in a system, afraid to lose their jobs. Others showed no remorse. The executives at Miramax and the Weinstein Company, who received complaints, who authorized settlements, who prioritized protecting the company over protecting victims, and the lawyers, who crafted NDAs, who threatened victims into silence, who enabled decades of abuse. Some face no consequences, continue practicing law, making money, moving through life, while survivors carry trauma forever. Hollywood today is different, but how different is debatable. More women directors, more attention to representation, better on-set protections. These are real improvements. But power imbalances remain. Young actors still desperate for breaks. Producers and directors still holding career power. The dynamics that enabled Harvey still exist, just under more scrutiny. Recent allegations against other powerful men suggest old patterns persist. The question is whether cultural change is deep enough, whether it will last, whether industries can truly prevent abuse, or whether they've just gotten better at PR, at seeming concerned, while maintaining structures that concentrate power in ways that invite abuse. For survivors, the outcomes vary. Some found healing through speaking out, through being believed, through seeing Harvey convicted. Others remain traumatized. Years of therapy, careers derailed, relationships damaged. Some became activists, advocates, helping other survivors. Others want privacy, to move on with their lives. There's no single survivor experience. Each person processes trauma differently. Each person's justice needs differ. Some wanted Harvey in prison. Others wanted acknowledgement, an apology, reform. What matters is that survivors' voices are heard, their agency respected, their needs centered. Me Too gave them platform. Now society must deliver, sustain change. The lessons from Harvey Weinstein's fall are clear, but uncomfortable. Power protects itself. Institutions prioritize reputation over justice. Victims are believed only when it's convenient. Change requires pressure, requires brave individuals willing to risk everything, requires journalists committed to truth, requires cultural moments that make silence untenable. The New York Times investigation. Ronan Farrow's reporting. The courage of women like Ashley Judd and Rose McGowan, Dorinsky, caught. These forces combined to topple Harvey, but they shouldn't have been necessary. The system should have stopped him decades earlier. The first time a woman complained, the first settlement, the first whisper of abuse. That it took so long reveals systemic rot. This has been the story of Harvey Weinstein, the Hollywood producer who wielded power as a weapon, who assaulted over 80 women across decades, who silenced victims with money and threats, who was protected by an industry that valued profit over people. The story of brave women who refused to stay silent, who risked their careers and privacy to seek justice, who built a movement that changed the world. The story of Me Too, a hashtag that became a reckoning, that exposed predators, that empowered survivors, that forced conversations we'd avoided for too long. Harvey Weinstein sits in prison now, Dr. Lee, convicted, disgraced, his legacy destroyed. But his story isn't over. The work of preventing abuse continues, of believing survivors, of building systems that protect vulnerable people, of ensuring that power never again shields predators from consequence. That work belongs to all of us.